Hello, and welcome to another new to stamping video. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the tools and supplies that I think are really handy to have when you're first starting out with stamping, card making, scrapbooking, paper crafting, that type of thing. So there's plenty of awesome supplies that I won't be covering today, but these are the ones that I feel are really versatile and basic and that everyone can get a lot of use out of when doing these crafts. The first item is the paper trimmer. This will cut nice straight lines in your paper, so you can cut strips of paper, cut photo mats for your scrapbooks, cut different sizes of cards. I really feel that this is absolutely essential for a paper crafter to have. You don't want to be trying to cut straight lines with scissors, and it's kind of a pain trying to get like a ruler and mark everything, so much easier to have this. I have a whole video talking just about this paper trimmer and how it works, but very briefly, this arm swings open, so it's huge. It's like 14.5 inches, so it'll work all the way to your 12 by 12 cardstock, no problem. It has two blades on here. One cuts like you would expect. The other is called a scoring blade. Scoring puts a line in the paper, not a cut. Nice line, kind of a dent that creases so you can fold like a card or a bag or a box, something like that. So it's great that it offers both right on board. So be sure and check out the video for more details on that, but it's definitely worth mentioning in this video because I consider it an essential. Another basic tool, this is the bone folder. Now I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for scrapbookers so much, but definitely for card makers, or if you're interested in making three-dimensional items, bags, and boxes, you will love this bone folder. You glide it across those creases that you can make, the scoring we talked about, and it makes the paper just really go together nicely without getting a lot of cracking in your paper and bending. So it's handy to have. I've also go into a demonstration of this in the same video where I demonstrate the paper trimmer because we cut out some A2 size cards in that video. So you can all check out that same video for more info on that. Now the next set of items that work together, this is Stampin' Mist and this is the Stampin' Scrub. Now excuse my poor Stampin' Scrub, it has seen better days. I've had it, oh gosh, I think about 7 years and it's broken, but it still works, so I don't see any point in buying a brand new one. So you use the Stampin' Mist, you spray it into one side here, you take your stamp, you rub it in there, in the wet side, then you use this other side to dry it off. It's got these great little bristles that get in there and really clean out the details of your stamps. Very quick and easy. The Stampin' Mist is great because it's made for your stamps. You know it doesn't have anything in there that's going to harm them, helps keep them conditioned, and doesn't do anything to dry them out or damage them in any way, which of course you would not want to do. So this is an awesome way to clean and care for your stamps properly, and it's super easy to use. The next item is the Stamp-a-ma-jig. Love the Stamp-a-ma-jig. It's two pieces. They work together so that you can get perfect placement of your stamped images. This will help you get your greetings straight. It will help you line things up on top of one another. It will help you put images inside of other images. It does all those wonderful things. I also have a separate video teaching you how to use this, so that'll really show you why it's such a wonderful tool, but I wanted to briefly mention it here. So this is the Stamp-a-ma-jig. I also consider it one of the very first things you would like to have. These are the paper snips. These are Stampin' Up! Smaller scissors. We also have some larger scissors that are even better for cutting ribbon and that sort of thing. But I know for most of you, purchasing 2 pairs of scissors right away is probably a little too much. So I recommend starting out with these little paper snips. They're the smaller pair. These are great for kind of detail cutting. If you wanted to hand cut out a stamped image or trim off a little edge of something, these work really well for those things. And we have tons of great adhesives. However, I'm only going to mention 2 right now to keep from overwhelming you. You can learn about the others and what they're great for as you progress in your crafting. So this is Snail. This is just a nice basic double-sided adhesive. Flip this open. drag this across the paper, and then it'll stick down to your paper, and the side sticking up will also be sticky. So you can layer your photo mats, you can layer your cards, all of that very simply with this. These are Stampin' Dimensionals. Oh, I meant to have some out to show you, so let me open this briefly. Apologize for that. So these are foam. I'm trying to show you kind of the depth that they have. Okay, so how these work, let me pull it off so you can see. Just pop off small little pieces and you stick them down, and then you peel off this extra backer on the top. They're double-sided adhesive as well. And what's fun about these is they give dimension to your projects. You have a little bit of lift in between two layers, and it really creates a cool effect. They're so quick and simple to use. So I really think you're going to enjoy working with them. And as I said, the other adhesives definitely have their uses. Highly recommend them. However, just to keep from overwhelming you, let's start with those. So now let's move on to picking your first colors. So your first ink pad, black is an awesome choice. Lots and lots of people do a great deal of stamping in black, especially your sentiments, your greetings, those types of things. So that's an excellent one to consider for your first purchase. Let me show you some ways that you might be able to get ideas for choosing some colors, because I think color is one of the best things about paper crafting. So I'm very inspired by it, and I want to help you pick first colors that you're going to love working with. One thing you can do is look at a completed project and say, hey, I like those colors, and work from there. For example, these cute little projects feature Crisp Cantaloupe and I believe, yes, Blackberry Bliss. So even though they show the ribbon in Blackberry Bliss and the stamping in Crisp Cantaloupe, you could look at that color combination and instead say, oh, I'm just going to buy 2 ink pads and 2 packs of cardstock, and you could choose to get the ribbon or not. You're just getting color ideas from these projects. And it's wonderful that the catalog includes some of that information nice and handy for many of the projects to give you those ideas. So that's one way you can pick your first colors. Another great way to start picking your first colors, back here we have the color collections. Now the in colors are kind of nice. There's 2 sets, they each run for 2 years. There's only 5 colors in each of these sets. So it makes it a little more affordable if you wanted to get a whole collection, which you certainly don't have to do, but you could get this pack here, cardstock and ink pads, and you get the cardstock and you get ink pads and all that together. So that's kind of fun. These are our main collections here, the Regals, the Neutrals, skipped the Brights and the Subtles, there we go. All right, and here's the Brights and the Subtles. So you could say what your favorite collection out of those 4 is. For me, I'm really partial to the Brights. And you don't have to buy the whole collection. It's nice to have eventually, of course, but what you can do is say, all right, for sure I want to work with bright colors first. Let me pick just 2 or 3 of my favorite colors out of this collection. An example, when you're working with the Brights, you could have Old Olive, Melon Mambo, and Tempting Turquoise. And you could get these 3 colors and start working from there. One thing that's nice about the color collections, you can mix and match the Brights very easily. You can mix and match the Subtles very easily. Same with the Regals. The Neutrals really go with pretty much everything. But it's sort of nice that these colors work so well together. It gets a little bit trickier when you're mixing a bright with a subtle. Not impossible, but perhaps takes a bit more practice. So in the beginning, I recommend focusing on one color collection that you like best and picking a few colors out of it to start working with. You can get some cardstock to go with your choices of ink pads. There's a couple ways to do that. Now you can get just the individual cardstock. You can get 8.5 by 11, which is excellent for card making, or you can get 12 by 12, which if you're doing 12 by 12 size scrapbooking is an excellent choice. So you can get an individual pack of the color, okay? Or you can get a cardstock assortment. And I will note very quickly that for the 12 by 12, there's a few colors that aren't available by themselves. You'd have to get the pack. With the 8.5 by 11, you can get the individual colors or the pack. So the difference is you would get 24 sheets of just one color, like the Melon Mambo we showed in the example. You get 24 whole sheets of that, or you could get the cardstock pack and you'd get 20 sheets, but you'd get 2 sheets of each of these colors. So if you get that pack, it actually gives you a lot more color options because you're mixing different inks with different cardstock colors. So I kind of like the idea of getting the variety pack when you're first starting out, just because it gives you so many more options. Okay, the last strategy I have for picking your first colors is to have a look at the designer series paper. If you have one of these that you really like and you know you'd like to own, Stampin' Up! Makes it easy. They tell you the colors in the collection. For example, if you liked this flashback set of papers, it shows basic black, crushed curry, pool party, real red, smoky slate, and very vanilla. So you could pick 2 or 3 of the inks on this list and you'd know they'd coordinate with the paper you love so much. So that's another great way to pick your first colors. Of course, these are all just options. If you have a specific project to make first, if you're making, you know, brand new baby girl announcements, you're probably going to want light pink ink. Or if you're making Christmas cards, you may choose to go with red and green, or perhaps some blues and grays for snowflakes. But if you're just getting started with no particular project in mind, those are some great ways that you can pick your first colors. That's always about what you like best, so, you know, figure that out by looking around and seeing what's available. Another paper I want to mention, besides your colored cardstock, you really are going to want Whisper White cardstock. This is smooth, it's got a different texture than the colored cardstock, and it is phenomenal for stamping on. Gorgeous. Ink spreads beautifully across it, it's nice and smooth, and of course white is a nice neutral color to use in your project as well. But especially for stamping on, you're really going to want to pick up a pack of Whisper White cardstock. Okay, so we're almost done. Now we're just moving on to our stamps and a potential accessory you may need with your stamps. So if you work with clear mount stamps, which those are my choice, the clear mount stamps do not come with a block. They're separate little stamps and you stick them to your blocks. Okay, so if you choose to go with clear mount stamps, I like them because they're smaller to store and each set is a little bit more affordable than the wood mount version. But then in the beginning you have to purchase some clear blocks to go with them. So Stampin' Up! Has a starter set with 3 blocks in it. I'll link to that down below this blog post to give you kind of an idea if you're like, well, what the heck clear blocks should I get first? I'm not buying them all. Totally understandable. That will give you a great idea for what you could try starting with. So the clear blocks will be necessary if you go with the clear mount or the photopolymer stamps. Okay, the photopolymer stamps, we have less of those. I'm not going to get into a whole thing at the moment, but for either of those you will need some clear blocks. Okay, now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk about picking our very first stamp sets. These are a couple examples of very versatile sentiment stamps. This one's called Hey You. The greetings included are thank you, congrats, and happy birthday. This one's called For You. The greetings are hello, thank you, birthday wishes, and thinking of you. I'm sure you can see that either of these are great for the types of occasions you're likely to be making cards for on a regular basis. Thank you cards, congratulations card, birthday cards, over here hello, or thinking of you. I mean, you could use those again and again and again. So it's nice to think about versatility when you're picking your first stamp sets. Birthday sentiments can be great. Now for images, I'm not even going to bother showing you images because there's so much more to that, but I will say think about things you're going to use a lot. For feminine cards, butterflies, flowers, those are so versatile. You can stamp butterflies or flowers in so many different colors. You can use them for thank yous, birthdays and invitations, anything feminine, those will work wonderfully and you'll get so much use out of them. Other great options, perhaps not versatile in the sense you'd use it for many occasions, but something you'd likely use often, birthday images. If you want to make birthday cards or you want a scrapbook about birthdays, getting 1 or 2 really nice birthday sets, you can get tons of use out of them. So below this post on my blog, I will link to several stamp sets that I think are nice, versatile sentiments for you. I'll let you browse the images yourself because there really are so many, and it is about personal preference. What you like is so important. There's a lot of variety in the designs and you may prefer certain fonts or, you know, all of that. So take your time, but I hope that perhaps this video made it a little bit less overwhelming to give you kind of a direction to go in, to know some of the very first things and all those other wonderful embellishments and fancy things and goodies. Those are all great and you can certainly start collecting and working with those at any time, even right away. But I hope this gives you a good idea about the basics, because you can buy some of the fun embellishments, and if you don't have, you know, cardstock and glue and things of that nature to work with, you're still going to struggle to complete your projects. So this is a great foundation and you can simply build from here. Thank you so much for watching today. If you're watching this on YouTube, please come check out my blog. I've got lots of great projects over there and I would love to hear your comments and would greatly appreciate your subscription to my YouTube channel or to my blog newsletter. So thanks again. Have a great day.